Good afternoon, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis giving you the July 15th update on position report analysis for the 50th Transpac. Sorry for the delay in today's broadcast. We had a lot of excitement overnight and this morning trying to ascertain what's going on here on the race course, as I'll tell you shortly. Let's zoom in and let's tell the story. First, we're going to come back to Saturday starters as we left off in our broadcast yesterday. The teams that had started on Saturday ran into a big hole on Saturday night and Sunday morning. We're struggling to get off the coast. Now, as you can see by the trackers, they've successfully done that. They've gotten in the breeze. But one boat in particular, as you can see here, OEX, John Sangmeister's modified Santa Cruz 70, they're not going anywhere. In fact, that boat's on the bottom. Fortunately, the crew is not. The crew has been rescued by Roy Disney's Pyewacket, Andrews 68. They were nearby at 2 o'clock this morning, Pacific time, when an emergency beacon went off on the tracker, and an hour later, Pyewacket had contacted race organizers and said, we have all the crew of OEX safely aboard and we are heading back to the coast. Apparently what happened on OEX was rudder damage, or the rudder post damage was severe enough to let water come into the boat, and at a rate fast enough that pumps weren't going to help, and the team decided the safest option was to get off. So it's a sad story, but still have a good ending with nobody hurt in the incident, and Pyewacket able to get them. So this position for OEX here is vestigial. In fact, the tracker on that boat is in the sea bag of John Sangmeister, the owner, who is aboard Pyewacket. They are heading back to the coast. We expect them at that rate of speed to be arriving into Marina del Rey sometime in the early hours of tomorrow morning. So again, the good news is that all are safe and sound. Other interesting news overnight was from Maserati. Let's see if we can find them. Maserati hit something last night. Yep, there they are. They hit something last night, and there's a video that has been posted to YouTube that I think will have a link off of the homepage at transpacYC.com that explains in Italian with English subtitles what the incident was. But they hit some very hard object, enough to break off the rudder on the port side AMA, and so they are going fairly fast, 22.5 knots, but really not at their full potential. They had to stop for a while, examine the damage, determine there was no water coming in the boat or anything that was going to jeopardize the boat or the crew. Just scrolling out a bit, while it seems like no big deal when you're going 22 knots, but what their real goal, of course, is to bridge this gap between where they are here and Argo. Argo, the leader, is over 100 miles ahead of them. They're going, of course, a little faster because they're at full capacity, 24.5 knots. Now, folks, I mean, just look at the rate of speed here and where they are relative to the fleet with these fast Mod 70s trimarans. They're just they're chewing the miles up quickly. We could dive into some speculation on whether the record set 2 years ago is in any way in jeopardy. I think it's too early to tell. Don't want to make those speculations just yet, but you can see what they've been able to cover in just a little over 2 days, and they're already in the middle of the fleet of boats that started last Wednesday. So pretty impressive speeds that these boats have. The other Mod 70 is Power Play, Peter Cunningham's boat. They too are going fast down the course, and there's one other catamaran in that big cat division is Paradox. They're a little smaller, they're a little heavier. It's has a little bit more cruising accommodations on that boat. It's not quite a full flat-out carbon ocean racing record setter like the others. But you can see their rate of progress relative to their starters here in the monohull divisions is still pretty impressive. So, but let's start off, if we will, here with the group from Wednesday. Everybody here, as you can see by the big picture track, they've been lifted. The breeze is now swung. Let's throw our wind data on here. And using that overprint, we can see the wind direction for them having gone from north-northeast, now more to the east-northeast, and then for these boats punching out here, they're getting lifted and lifted all the time while they remain on starboard tack. So they're into the full trades, full easterly trades in this location. Their challenge will be how to decide when to jibe. And scrolling out in the big picture here, this is the very typical classic Transpac course strategy: is go south while it's fast, don't go too far south to chew up too much distance away from the shortest line, but then don't get too far north because you don't want to get into this area of light air here associated with a high. But the high is compressed. It looks a little bit more orderly now than what it was a couple of days ago. I think it's going to follow a classic pattern. So the decisions for these boats will be, when do we jibe? Do we want to get up into this zone here and risk light air? Do we want to jibe before that and work the south side of the rum line or the Great Circle route? Or do we want to commit, go all the way, and then jibe? So that'll really dictate, that'll really depend on how they interpret this next phase of the race over here. Okay, now zooming in, looking at the crowns, these guys on the FAR 57, Hokolohe, they're just chugging along. This team has been doing very well. They're the fastest boat in that group, and they've been extending slightly every day to maintain their elapsed time lead. I think the corrected time leads, we can go through them, but you can do that too from the leaderboard. Just make sure to select which division you want to look at, such as Division 2. I would select from the start. Everybody's out in the race course now, and as you can see, the corrected times and the calculation used to project them forward to give them a place in the standings are going to be listed here. So in that division, Division 6, the Hokulea is indeed in the lead, followed by Blue Flash, sorry. And again, you can go through this and select your favorite team and look what they're doing. Now, the second wave of starters, I think they've had the best experience in the race so far. They haven't had to dive too far south. They've been going along at great pace. They rarely stopped. We had a little story from the guys on Bretwalda, who, where are they? There they are. Those are the leaders in this group. They had probably the best starting experience and getting out of Catalina. They reported a little bit of light air just outside of Catalina, but since then have been trucking along nicely. So that's why they're in the lead. This is Rogers 46. They've done this race a few times and very well sailed team. This icon here, by the way, this is the lead, or this is the fastest monohull Comanche 100-foot VPLP design boat. Many of you have been around Transpac, remember this from 2 years ago. They've set the monohull record. They, of course, are trying to go after that again this time. However, I think that first hiccup in the first night might impede their progress toward that. We'll comment on that, I think, in the next couple of days as the picture becomes more clear. But certainly at 17.7 knots, navigator Stan Honey is going to try to keep them in the best breeze and the best track possible. But look at them. I mean, after 2 days, they're already leapfrogging into the middle of the second wave of starters. I'm going to go up here then, and we'll focus on our remaining minutes in this last wave. Now remember, they had a really tough time the first night. What we're showing now, of course, are 4-hour delays, but progress that they made. In fact, maybe it's worth even scroll back using this tool a little bit and just show the difficulties they had in that first night being stuck out there. See that? Many hours stuck in that one position while Comanche and the Big Tries and Rio 100, Minuccia's boat, they were able to get their noses out, away, and into that breeze that was coming down here off the coast. You needed to get away from the Southern California bight to avoid that hole. So the bigger, faster boats were just managing to do that, while the smaller ones got stuck. They now, in this time frame, which was let's see, 11 o'clock Hawaii time, so that's add 3 hours, is 2 o'clock of just about this time yesterday is when you see that class having lined up, gotten their noses into the breeze, and really almost restarted the race from that point. So in the last 24 hours, the great progress that we've seen has really made this fleet, this last fleet here, enjoy the race, and they're trucking along nicely. Alive is the Sydney Hobart winner from last December, and they are also just getting into the breeze, going along nicely. We expect good things from this boat. This is a good team. Another team from Australia, like Comanche. There's 3 of them, in fact. Kealoha 2, who is leading their division. They're somewhere over in here. They were in the second wave. They're somewhere out in here. There they are, Kealoha 2. Kealoha 2, Comanche, and this one, Alive, are forming what's called the Anzac Team. They're competing for the Storm Trysil Trophy, 3 boats to a team. And we'd have to look at the standings on that, and we'll do an analysis of that in some coming days. But those are certainly some of the strong favorites in the team competition. So that's our report for today. Again, the real story here is Pyewacket is headed back. They've rescued the team off of OEX very valiantly so, and are to be commended for their heroism for doing that. It's not easy transferring 10 people off of a life raft into another boat in 20 knots of wind and 3 to 5 foot seas. But Pyewacket team, very experienced and certainly very capable and able, and we're really very glad that they were able to pick those folks up and have a good rescue. Other teams heading back are also shown on the trackers. The Macondo, Mayhem are still out there. Aloha, Nalu, and Trouble are safely back in port. And then there's one other. Where are they? The Olsen 40. They are coming back. I have to go zoom in to find them, but they're coming back after rig breakage. They may need a rescue of fuel to help them get back, and I think they're actually embedded in here. There they are, live wire. They're quite a ways out. They're almost 300 miles out, and at 4.4 knots, as you can see, that's a tough rate of progress. We're going to reach out to the folks who are onshore supporting live wire and get a little more information on the reports of what their plan is. But in any case, that's our report for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll hope to get tomorrow's report out a little bit earlier now that things have hopefully stabilized out on the racecourse. And again, go to the website, transpacyc.com, for even more. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Dobbs Davis signing off on the 15th of July.